Why, hello, folks. Today we're going to be looking at the one of the new Tenet weapons, the Tenet Plinx, one of the two new weapons that they've just released together with the Tenet Ferox. It is a pistol, good old Plinx that has been given an alt fire that sucks enemies in and then explodes them. Now, I'm going to be making a bit of a different video probably from what most other people have been making about the Tenet Plinx. Because there are already, it's been out for 3 weeks or so now. There's already a ton of different guide videos going over the best elements and how to build it, etc, etc. And that resource is already out there. And I'll show it off real quick. Just so that I can use it to preface the discussion, which is what I'm usually after with these videos. You come to this channel for the discussions. Also for the builds, but for the discussions. So, this thing... Now, obviously, I don't have, like, an optimal build or something. I have, like, a 25% magnetic roll, so that's not great. But this thing has an alt fire. It uses up every bullet in the magazine. It sucks enemies together, and then it explodes and yeets the hell out of them. Now, I've built this thing for just like corrosive and big crits. It's got some good stuff and some bad stuff. The bad stuff is precisely that it yeets enemies, which makes it a bit, annoying at times. But if you just one-shot stuff, then that's not really an issue. So what we're gonna do here is I'm just gonna use my Zaw to pull everyone together so that we can do an actual good one. And it takes about, like, just, half the health of a level 190 Corrupted Heavy Gunner, depending on, like, what sort of status procs you give on them. Sometimes it can one-shot, most of the times maybe it's gonna two-shot, what do I know? But like I said, I do not have an optimum build for this thing. Some things that are worth pointing out, that there are like a couple of different ways you can build these things. You can build them as maybe for hemorrhage or something if you have an impact progenitor. Probably not ideal. What's important to note about this weapon is that you fire off every shot in the magazine with the alt fire, and depending on how many... it gets like plus 10% damage per shot. So if you actually... increase the magazine capacity, that is going to increase the damage of the alt fire. And that's like multiplicative with all of the other damage as well. So it's like it's a huge damage increase. So this primed slip magazine here for increased magazine capacity, that is a big damage boost for this weapon. Reload speed is important because this thing, you shoot it and then it's empty for a couple of seconds. Or not even a couple of seconds, but if you look in the bottom right. And then it starts reloading. So increasing reload speed increases both like how fast it reloads, but also how long you have to wait until it starts reloading. It's pretty good on that weapon. Now, I have a Riven mod on this thing, but don't really mind that because this thing just came out. So it's got like a garbage Riven disposition. So this Riven mod isn't like super good. It's just I managed to roll for like a bit more multi-shot on it. Other than that, I'm just building it for like crits and corrosive, and then that's gonna do the trick most of the time. One other thing to note is that, at least currently, I don't know if that's gonna be fixed or not, but synth charge, that increases the damage on the final shot. That counts if you're using the alt fire, because that counts as the final shot of the magazine. So that also gives you a pretty big damage boost. That's also something you can do to ramp up the damage of this weapon, if you have that. Now let's build up the merciless stacks and try this out once again, shall we? Alright, so we got our 12 stacks. Obviously, if we want to ramp this up even more, we can, bring a Panzer Valpaphyla, spread viral on everyone. They take more damage. But that's it. That's your level 190 corrupted heavy gunners. Like, go bye-bye. Now, what I want to talk about when it comes to this weapon is that this gives me the impression of a dev team that might not be entirely cohesive. Because we're getting a lot of mixed messages here about the direction that they want the game to go in. Right? We have been spending a couple of dev streams now talking about the problematic nature of the so-called AoE meta. How we're trying to move away from the whole idea of how the only thing that's relevant is big explodey boom boom weapons. And they've taken some measures to try to address that, saying that it's a work in progress. The first thing they did, of course, was hit the ammo, like removing 90% of the ammo of all AoE weapons. Kuva Brahma, Kuva Zar, they just sort of like left the meta because now you have one shot. You have one shot and you're out of ammo. So that was one thing they did. Then they were talking about bringing back self-damage as well, which if you've been following this channel for quite some time, you would know that I am a huge proponent of this. I think, yes, we should bring back self-damage, because the game was better and a more fun game when we had self-damage. And the idea being that, like, an acknowledgement of the fact that these big explodey boom boom weapons are kind of disruptive to other players. That that they make the game very automated, where it sort of just plays itself, especially like typically before with you know, Wukong and his clone. Check this out. Yeah.
Excellent work. We'll interrogate the
no one else gets to do anything because the first guy to run into the room and fire off their big shooty boom boom explodey thing kills everything in the room. Everyone else just gets to watch, or they get to here, let me one-shot this thing. They don't really get to play the game. So, and their screen is just filled with these huge big flashy explodey weapon effects. They can't even see what's going on. And the idea is that, like, when the game wasn't centered around this, Warframe was kind of a more fun time. So then I have to sort of question, like, why then are we releasing a new, really ridiculous shooty explodey boom boom weapon that has infinite ammo? This is battery driven, so it just reloads itself after a while. It not only is it a shooty boom boom weapon, it also has a suck. It sucks in enemies. By the way, if you're wondering why I'm not running primed fulmination on this thing, it's because primed fulmination only increases the blast radius of the weapon, but it does not increase the radius of the suck. And you want to suck enemies in because they take more damage in the middle of the explosion. So primed fulmination doesn't really do anything for this weapon. Oh, another hound. Kind of have to run back for that one. Fine. So this just makes everything feel a bit weird. Because what's the deal here? I mean, sure, it could be the case. It could be the case that this was already in production. They were already working on these weapons and were gonna release them, and then, you know, you got the new dev team and the new priorities and the new direction and all of that. But they still had these weapons that they had made. So you might as well just, you know, put them in the game. That could be it. Could be it. Or, I don't know. Sometimes I feel like they got cold feet about the whole addressing the AoE meta thing. Especially since the whole... I've made another video about that before. Like how they backtracked on re-adding self-damage back into the game. It said that they were postponing it until like after after Duviri because it turned out to be a bigger project than they thought it would be, which could be true. Maybe. Or maybe it's not. And I just find it strange.
You have been promoted.
It doesn't really make sense to me that they would make this weapon right now, because it is the antithesis of everything they have been talking about when it comes to the idea of taking Warframe in a new direction. So either they got cold feet, that's solution A, option A, or they've already had these things in production and they were just gonna release them into the game anyway, because why not if you've made them? Also a possibility, that's number 2. Or it could be that they aren't working cohesively, like as a group. That the design team or the I don't know, people in charge of balance and releasing new stuff for the game are not super in tune with the idea of a general sort of direction change for the game, and people are just in their teams working on their things, and then it's like, hey, we worked on this thing, and it's like, oh shit, that doesn't look like the sort of thing we should be working on. It could be. Ah, man, I don't have a Vom. I'm gonna get a Vom before I can get this. Annoying. I don't know, but it threw me off when they released this gun, because don't get me wrong, it's a fantastic little gun. You can go places with this. This is one of the strongest secondaries that have been made in a long time. I don't know if you've seen videos, but you can one-shot Eidolon limbs with this thing with a direct hit. It's the damage numbers on this thing are stupid. It's fantastic. But it's an explodey boom boom weapon with infinite ammo, and I don't understand why they put it in the game when they're talking at the same time about like moving the game away from that sort of thing. I don't get it. I don't understand. So, not exactly a review video, more of a discussion point of like, what's the deal here? I'm getting very confused and very mixed messages about the direction of the game. And as a content creator, that kind of makes things a bit tricky for me too, because like I'm trying to report on these things and I'm trying to give my analysis and like, oh, this is where they're going. Here's what you need to know, and here's if I think this is good or bad. But like I can't do that if they tell me one thing and then do the complete opposite. Then I don't know what the direction of the game is, and then I don't know if I'm supposed to be excited or not excited. It's like, I don't... You get me? Do you get where I'm going with this? It's just weird. It is the first time I've sort of felt that like the messaging and of the direction of the game just does not feel cohesive. Feels like the left hand and the right hand are not communicating with each other right now at the digital extremes. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. Hey, it's just one gun, right? It's just one gun. Yeah, but it's an explodey boom boom thing with infinite ammo. It's like the exact thing that they said that they were gonna try to move away from. Anyway, if you don't have it yet, go get it. It's fantastic. It's gonna be your new favorite secondary. It's gonna carry you through everything. You can one-shot Acolytes, one-shot Eidolons, because the direct damage from this thing is bonkers. And it also has a big explosion, and it also has infinite ammo, and it's just fantastic. It's crazy. But why though? Why though? Anyway, that's my weird ranty video. Thank you for listening, and I will see you guys again tomorrow for something completely different.